I cried during this movie. More on that later. Hello guys and welcome back to Done Still Hobbies, and yeah, it's been a while since I made any video on this channel, and I know it's been a while. Fact is, I moved, I kinda ended up sick with COVID. I'm fine now. But yeah, it's been a while since I made a video on this channel, and you know what? I'm back. I will be making videos. Of course, I will only be making videos when I have something to say. So there's not going to be a schedule on this channel or anything like that. I'm only going to be making a video when I actually have something I want to discuss. And in today's video, I have something that I really want to discuss. So without further ado, let's just dive into this, shall we? Okay, so what makes a classic movie? Not even a movie, just what makes a classic story? To me, a classic movie, a classic story is honestly one that can stand the test of time. When you think of classic movies, the first thing that pops into your head might be DreamWorks, but usually it's Disney, right? I mean, look at all the Disney classics, and not just Disney, but Pixar as well, which I guess also is Disney now. But I mean, you have stuff like Toy Story and other classics like Cinderella, The Lion King. There's so many classics out there, and yeah, I honestly feel like today I found a modern classic, and it's so funny because it doesn't come from Disney. Honestly, I kind of feel like Disney has lost a lot of its spark, and I mean, Disney, especially because it has so many of these remakes and reboots and continuations, they don't really make anything new and innovative anymore. And in a world where we get nothing but continuations and remakes and reboots from a company like Disney, who used to be nothing but creating imaginative, innovative, great stories, timeless stories to tell. Yeah, it's nice to see that there is at least some. They're pretty much diamond in the roughs. Yes, I stole that from Aladdin. But there are some classic stories still left out there to be told, and classic movies to be made, and I'm glad to actually have found that today. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing none other than The Magician's Elephant from Netflix. And I know, Netflix has kind of that reputation. I kind of give it that reputation myself of, you know, it's Netflix. Whatever's on Netflix, especially if it's Netflix specifically made, they come out with some good, but a lot of it's not. But every now and again, there is a really nice diamond in the rough, and I've been able to find some really classic stories that I think honestly are modern classics for Netflix that I'm really happy to see them. In fact, they actually make me happy to see them a lot more than like movies that come out of like Disney, or stories that come out of like Disney, like Star Wars or anything like that, which is crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a moviegoer, I am a movie lover, I am a TV show kind of consumer. I absolutely just love stories. It's one of my favorite things, is just a story lover. And don't get me wrong, I like the big, gigantic battles of good versus evil and villains, and what makes a character, getting into the psyche of a character, what makes a character tick, why is this character doing this, doing that, complex and imaginative storytelling. I do like that kind of stuff, but to be honest with you, sometimes I just need a classic story with a good message. In fact, a story with a good message can honestly sometimes be a lot more impactful than the big bad what's this good versus evil type of storytelling. And honestly, this story was just that. There's no villain in this story. It doesn't really have complex characters. but it does have some really great characters. And I mean, that's what classic really should be. It really should be just classic characters, really great characters, really good storytelling, and most importantly, a story with a message. And that's what honestly kind of made me cry about this movie, was just because of the quote-unquote message of this movie. As an adult, and it's really funny because I judge films, I want to say I judge films off of all the same stuff, but I really don't, right? It's a kid's movie, so you kind of give it some slack. But to be honest with you, judging this movie as an adult, honestly, I try to find something within any property that I read or watch. Honestly, I'm looking for one thing, and that's just something that brings me back to my childhood, something that it sparks that creativity, imagination, and something with a good, wholesome message that honestly makes you kind of think about the world. And I really kind of dig that. I really like the fact that this movie was able to become one of those movies for me, even though it's a classic movie. Again, I'm hyping this film up like it's the thing of the century, like it's the biggest Star Wars project ever. Let's not do that. Let's break that right now. This movie, honestly, is a classic movie. It's a basic movie. That's right, basic movie. It's a basic story. Not that that's a bad thing. Honestly, that might be why it got me in the feels, why it actually made me cry, because it's just a basic story with a really good basic message that, honestly, I think a lot more films need to do. I mean, yeah, I'm interested to see what Toy Story 5 and whatever Disney has planned for the future, but it's also like, okay, if you're going to make a story, and it doesn't matter if it's a remake, it doesn't matter if it's a reboot, it doesn't matter if it's a continuation like in Star Wars, if you're going to continue a story, make a story, then I want to know what's the story about. I want to know what the message of the story is going to be about. What is the reason you're making the story? And I know, cash! But honestly, when you're a kid, you don't care about that. You're just looking for a good story, and some of the best stories to me are the ones that actually just give good messages. I mean, think of Toy Story. Think of the message of Toy Story, or Nemo, or The Lion King. There's so many good ones, or Cinderella, for heck's sake. There's so many good stories, and it's not just movies. It's also TV shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Danny Phantom. There's so many classics out there. And I really do feel like this story is another classic. So what is it about? The story is about this boy who's looking for his sister. To find his sister, he finds this fortune teller who is also the narrator of the story. She tells him to follow the elephant. And he's like, there aren't any elephants, and this is in a world where, magic and stuff like that, yeah, it existed at one point, but now it's gone. A lot of people have lost faith, a lot of people have lost hope, a lot of people have lost the ability to believe in the impossible, And then at the same time, there's this magician that he sees that the world it has lost their quote-unquote faith in the impossible. And he wants people to believe in that again, so he decides that even though he's not very good at magic, he decides to cast a spell that would make people believe. And I really like that at the end of the film, that spell comes true, but not in the way that he thought it was going to come, really, and it's great. So he accidentally makes an elephant appear, and it crushes some old lady's legs. But the elephant appears, and because technically the elephant belongs to the king, the boy is trying to follow the elephant to his sister. He meets the king. The king's like, hey, if you want the elephant, do 3 impossible things. And so the king is basically just wanting to be entertained, but I really like the story that there's really no villain, and every time I think that there's going to be like a quote-unquote villain, you first think it's going to be the magician. Is the magician evil? No, honestly, he was just someone who saw that the world wasn't really in the mood for magic, and wanted to give people some hope back, wanted to show people the impossible again, and make people believe again. And that he goes through this kind of character development because of that. The king, on the other hand, he's kind of crazy. He's kind of crazy and fun. But he sees that he wants to just sit back and laugh and have a good time. But he sees that the people around him are not really having that good of a time. So the reason why he's doing this is because he's wanting people to kind of see the impossible. He wants to see the impossible come true as well. And then you have the boy. You have the boy who is honestly just wanting to find his sister, but because he is told by his caretaker, who is this old soldier who fought in the war, saved him from the war. And because as the old soldier kind of has lost faith, and has taught the boy to lose faith as well. But the boy's like, I believe in the impossible. My sister is alive. I'm going to find her. I'm going to follow the elephant. And you think that, well, maybe the old man is actually going to be the villain of the movie, but that's not the case. And honestly, the old man, the old soldier that's caring for our main character, he actually ended up becoming my favorite character of the story, because he, after seeing that this boy accomplish the impossible, accomplishing the king's 3 crazy tasks, he finds that belief again, and he's also in a wheelchair. And while the story really doesn't make much a point of it, it seems like he was probably told he could never walk again or something. He's in a wheelchair. He doesn't believe. He doesn't have hope. He doesn't have faith. And after seeing this boy basically accomplish the impossible, he himself goes through this character development and decides to stand up and walk again. And I really like the character development of the old man as well. Again, there's really no villain in this movie as well. It's just, the whole message of this movie is really just to believe in the impossible. And I think it's a fantastic movie because of that. And that's why I end up crying over it, of all things. And it's really funny because I was not expecting, this movie was not on my radar or anything like that. I was honestly just bored one day, sat down, and this just happens with me and Netflix all the time. Netflix is one of those places where I really think it's Netflix. There's some good stuff on there, and don't get me wrong, some of the Netflix properties can be interesting to see, but it's Netflix. I'm not going there to find something great and grand. Like, if I'm looking for something grand, I go to Disney, I go to Star Wars, I go to Pixar, I go to, places like that. And then, just out of nowhere, I was honestly bored. I wanted to watch something, just put something on. I sat down, I saw Netflix, I clicked on it, and just out of nowhere, Netflix, I had this movie, The Magician's Elephant, and I don't know what was that actually made me click on it. I honestly was just like, okay, the animation looks good, it looks interesting, let me just watch it. Like, it's a kid's movie, I'm not gonna probably love it, I'm probably just gonna be like, it's a decent film. But man, was I surprised. And this isn't the first time I've been surprised by a film made for kids on Netflix as well. I mean, there was Over the Moon, there was The Wishing Dragon. Those movies, and how can I even forget about Klaus? Klaus was fantastic. Yeah, in a world where we get nothing but reboots and remakes, it's nice to see some inventive, innovative, really interesting stories with really great messages. Again, And I really think that while you are probably not going to get as emotional as I did, you are probably not going to cry at this movie. I really feel like, especially if you're an adult and you kind of forgot about magic and to believe in the impossible again. If you really want a movie just to make you believe again, then I really feel like this is a movie for you. With that said, that is my review. I give this movie a 10 out of 10 for its creativity, its interesting, and really good message. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of The Magician's Elephant. I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's a new modern classic, and I really do think that in 10-15 years down the line from here, I really think it's still going to stand the test of time and become a modern classic, but only time will tell. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. With that said, I'm out. Bye.
Subscribe to Dylan's Little Hobbies right now.